So I'm so excited for today's video because it feeds into my new obsession, junk journaling. Now, I will say either you get it or you don't with junk journaling, and my family definitely does not get it. They're like, so you're putting junk into your art now? And I'm like, no, I mean, yes, but no, like, it's not just junk, it's cool junk, or it's vintage junk, or it's just like not really even junk at all. It's just stuff that really inspires me. And it's stuff from my stash, and it's stuff that I thrift, and it's stuff that I find at estate sales. And I just get really excited, and I tend to go all in when I discover something new. And so I decided, because I've accumulated so much in such a short period of time, I want to try out putting together physical coordinated junk journal lots for other people, because I see people sell the digital version and I think that's really cool. And I do want to make my own digital version eventually, but because that's so time consuming and I don't want to be drowning in stuff, and I am taking pictures of the pieces that I want to include in my digital kit, because I'll eventually alter them and do all of that on my own website. But in the meantime, I think this could be a really fun thing to try out. It's very artistic. It feeds into a lot of my strengths, which is design and vintage and shopping and crafting. So I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so the first theme that I'm going with is cottage inspired, like a cottage floral theme. So it's going to include this, which is a vintage wallpaper, and I like how it has that bow and the flowers. And another wallpaper, if you can see, this just has a nice texture to it. I have a lot of this. I've used it in my office, and I continue to use it in projects because I just really like it. It has this sort of very elegant look to it that goes with a lot of different designs that I do. And then this, I really like this sort of gazebo theme with the flowers going over the walkway there. I think that's really cute. And then I want to include sheet music. I want to include sheet music in most of my kits. I guess we could call them kits or lots. So this has that nice already sort of aged look, if you can see it next to the white. And then this one, you can see it more on the edges. But what I like about this one is I like that goes really well with the theme. And this is an example of one that I've taken a picture of the sheet music because I love that and I want to incorporate that into other designs. And then I have included magazines that I think have pretty images on them, magazine pages. So there's that. And then there's this, which I love. This pearl images. And the last magazine image has this necklace, but on this side it's that. I think this goes better with the theme, but again, you could use them in more than like one project. This little heart, which this could be fun to add little ribbon roses to or embellishments. And then we have this very vintage trim. This one, I don't think it's vintage, but I think it looks vintage. Here's that. This that I stamped on leather. And then, see, some of these do have little imperfections, but with junk journaling, that's kind of the beauty. You can get away with using some of this stuff that otherwise there may not be a use for, a reuse for. In mine, I also want to include fabric, vintage fabric, which I really enjoy adding to my journals. So this one goes beautifully with this theme. I have vintage dictionary pages, and then this stationery that goes really well. Another sheet music. This one's very vintage. Then I liked this certificate paper that's blank. I just like that green color. I think it goes really good with a lot of different themes. And then vintage wrapping paper. It does say happy birthday, but if you're anything like me, you find ways to work around those elements. Okay, so we have more sheet music in this one and dictionary pages. And then we have a different certificate paper. And if you see, we've got this style, and then this is folded, but you can sort of see it goes well with this. See that? And then something like this where it says a shower gift, but this is actually like a garden theme. If it was me, I would use something, cut it out and sort of cover those words, or you could cut this out and have it be like a peek through window in your journal. But it's so pretty. The design, everything else really goes with this theme. So I include that. And then we've got these solid cardstock. And then just some fun little craft elements. So some of these type things are new, but I like to add that in when it goes with the theme. And there's this, which is a really fun sewing trim, but I like to use sewing trims in my journal. And so I'm including those in mine, in my lots. Another eyelet, and this one's a sort of soft pink color. And then we've got another lace. The laces are vintage, and a vintage velvet with this shiny backside. Adds a lot of texture. And last, for this one, we have this retro floral ribbon with the jacquard. I don't know how you say that. So very fun. So this is sort of, all of this will be in one themed junk journal lot. I missed a few pieces, so let me show you. This is also going in the garden floral. Oops, one of my lights isn't on. Okay. This is also going in the garden floral. Oh, that's right. I did it for this side, but another one I will be keeping for my digital kit, probably this image too. So I'll photograph them and I'll save those files so that I can design with them later. I love this vintage wrapping paper. That seems to be a weak spot of mine. Vintage fabric and vintage trim and vintage wrapping paper. So just really fun. Like, the girl can go to a tea party. Okay, so that completes that kit. When I say I've accumulated a lot since I've started junk journaling, I've really gone far down this rabbit hole. I have been reading books. I've been reading books on it, and I have a space designated in the garage to it. Let me show you that. This is all upcycling supplies, all of that. Now, relating to the junk journal, not this shelf, but this shelf and this shelf. So and then down here is like Christmas crafts. I'm trying to limit myself to this shelf and Oh, I've already got, oh no, this is a shelf on a shelf. I was like, oh, I've already got 3 shelves. So we've got 1 shelf and 2 shelves that I'm trying to limit my junk journal to. And I have a ton of stuff still inside, so you can tell this has already become a bit of a situation. So this is why I'm hoping to sell some of the supplies I have and make more room so that I can get more supplies for my own journals that I'm working on. Or maybe I need to just stop purchasing for a while. Yes, I'll stop purchasing for a while, see what I can get rid of, and then go from there. Okay, so the next one I put together, I think it is a little smaller, but this is a Christmas one. So it's a Christmas theme, and we've got, again, this sort of timeless textured wallpaper. And then this vintage double-faced trim and another vintage trim. This is actually like ribbon from back in the day, but it's actually made pretty much as good of quality as sewing trim, so I think that's interesting. This one's more of a kind of like a plasticky texture. There's vintage trim, that is sewing trim. Then this modern but crushed velvet red. I think this one's modern too. I kind of like gingham for Christmas. Does anybody else? Is it just me? Little gingham bow. And then here, let me just bring the camera down. We've got these gold appliques. I don't know if the color is really coming across. And then these little Santa paper cutouts, kind of like that cardstock paper. And then these are modern, like vintage reprints. And then a vintage card, which I think that would be pretty to cut out the imitation part and leave it as a little peek through. And that is the card. I just like the green colors for this, a vintage postcard. And then our paper items for this bundle are the sheet, this sort of piano print, sheet music. These are all my sheet music is vintage because that's what I prefer, but you'll see I tear the pages. Some of them come out a little cleaner than others. That doesn't bother me, but I do make note of it. We've got this vintage grid paper, a little stack of those. We've got several more of these blank gift certificates. And I don't know if you can see, but here, let's put my hand behind it. See, it's kind of got it's not coming across. It's kind of like a parchment paper. I think it is a parchment paper. These are fun. I like this. And I like that subtle print. I'm not a fan of this frame, but I distress that. And you could also cover that with like trim. And then I included a devotional emerald from that magazine, but with the green and then the red. I think that's really fun. I really like these headers they used in the pockets, or the corners. Okay, so another one of those cards, and then we've got the 2 envelopes that go with those. These I'm a big fan of. This is from a 1930s or 1940s coloring book, and I am obsessed with the graphics on these. I just think it's so cute. Look at the elves. I like this. It's very majestic and just really beautiful frame there. Even if you didn't want the religious element, which I like it, but you could cut that frame out. I might keep this one. No, it's in the lot. I'll take a photo of anything I want to keep. I'll just take a photo of it. Okay. Elves. Playful elves. More elves. I'll just flip through these pretty quickly. More elves. And these are like the more adult looking elves. I think that's really fun. Look at his mother gooses pulling his sleigh. So fun. So cute. Okay, we've got dictionary pages, more elves. You can tell I like these. If nobody buys, there's the mother elf. If nobody buys these lots, I will use them to create journals with. So we've got an old map, a book picture, which I like taking images from books because they're really nice quality and the paper's thicker than, excuse my stomach growling. Vintage postcard, like how it's got the snowy scene. Vintage wrapping paper. Then we've got many sheets of this stationery. I really like this one. It's a Christmas Afghan. And there's the back. Oh, I like this one. Okay. Sort of a very rustic old world chapel. And then we have Nazareth images. And one last sheet music. So that concludes this bundle. And I really like how that came together. Okay, here's the last set I'll show today. This is in sort of this teddy bear whimsical style. It could be fun for doing like a baby memory journal, or I did 2 black ink on this sort of turquoise suede. I love that stamp. I think it's so cute. And this one I actually included stamps in. I really like teddy bear themed, especially sort of like these cartoon teddy bears. So I guess the theme maybe is just fun, whimsical teddy bear. So see, this and some of the other items are similar to a few of the other ones I showed you. So I'll show those items very quick. And some of these, I think I've done 6 total of these lots, but again, I'll just show you this one because the others are too similar. There's that. Here's this really, I want to say 90s vintage wallpaper. I think the graphics and the colors go really well with this little set. We've got this fuzzy teddy bear that you could glue or sew on something. And then this one, because it's more of that sort of childlike, we've got these elementary pages. I do like the darker color on these. And then this one gets the rose quartz. Let me show you the top. And, oops, hang on, I dropped some. We have another vintage wrapping paper. This one is this ballerina teddy bear style. And then I have these gingham bows, which I think those are cute together. We've got more grid paper, several of those. And we have this one again. I think that actually these two go really good together. I don't know if the floral purple is coming across accurate on camera. I added these, kind of a neutral, and then this little graphic, or it's actually a card, but I use a lot of cards in my journals. Sheet music. A very, very big sheet music. I love the natural aging on the edges. There's a really large one, which could technically be 4 pages. These could be cute as journal cards. Add something on the back. And then I like it for these ones on the bottom, but those come with it too. And that's kind of like thicker paper. I love these. So look at this. Last few items here. I added this self-adhesive vintage wallpaper onto a sketchbook, kind of a firm sketchbook paper to hold it in place because it's sticky on the back. So it's the only way I could include it is by attaching it to a paper. And then it has its twin. I just put them on, I think 8.5 by 11 pages. I think those are so fun. And lastly, we have this textured, if you look closely, it's a textured floral upholstery sample. So it does have the backing on the back. But and with journals, this is not an issue because you can just cover this with an entire paper if you want. Glue it onto something. This could even technically be a soft cover. Okay, so that is it for that bundle. That is going to be it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think something like this is actually something people will be interested? If you want to see the exact like lots that I've listed for sale, I'll include a link in the description of this video, or if you just want to see like how I present them online, you can look at my Poshmark or my eBay. And I just want to know, like, do you think physical junk journal kits can be a thing, or should it only be digital? Like, what is the crafter out there interested in? I would be interested to hear that because I'm still really new to it, but I just get really excited and I like to try a lot of new things. And I do want to incorporate supplies in my store, Goody Stash. So I sell fabric. I've already transitioned to that. I'm starting to sell trims, as you can see, sort of around me. And I want to add, like, I entertain the thought of like appliques or patches, but those sort of bombed. And so I'm trying to find like what can be like my little embellishment, because I absolutely love embellishments. And when I go to estate sales, I see them a bunch and I just keep rescuing them. So I think this could be a really great way to work through some of those and still be able to go out and get more. So I'm very excited to see how they do. I will see you next time. I want to check in at least every week or every other week, and I will just bring you along for me what I'm up to in my studio.